So good morning, everyone. So Tracy and I work together. We are from Perfect Layout Digital Marketing, and today we're going to talk to you about just looking at your website and seeing if there are improvements that you may want to make. So how can you critique your own website? There are 9 key points that we're going to be looking at today. And what we're going to do is do a live example of looking at just a few websites, some that are ranking on the top of the pages on page 1 on Google, and then looking at those that are on page 2, so we can then see what those key points are, and then you can use these tips to then take it back to your own websites and see how you're faring against your competition. So before I move on to sharing my screen, so the things that we're looking at is what type of content do you have on your site? Is it full of rich keywords? Are you explaining the different services that you have? Do you have good navigation on your site? So is it easy for people to get to the different areas and the different services and products? Is your layout clear? You know, do you have good imagery versus content? And you know, it's not just about having solid text and having lots of it, it's breaking it out so it's easy for the user to make their way through. For many of us, we are local based businesses. So again, do you mention your geographic location? So if you're a tree surgeon and you only want to work around the Havering area, there's no point in saying, you know, Essex tree surgeon, because you don't want to go to Chelmsford or to Southend-on-Sea. So, you know, being specific about where you work should also be mentioned on your site if you're a local business. Do you detail your business address and opening hours? This is not just for people finding you as an office, but also if you have other listings on other directories, your name, address and phone number play an important part of search engine optimization. Going back to content, do you use good headings? So headings are, again, another search engine optimization technique that the algorithms will look at. So your use of headings and the content that you put in those headings can also play a significant role. And then we'll talk about internal linking and external linking. So that's internal is when you link to other pages within your site, and external linking is looking at is linking out to other people's sites. So who do you work with? Can you give them a mention on your website? Because again, those interactions digitally can help. Okay, so I'm going to move to sharing my screen. And so the example we're going to take today is hairdressers in Glasgow. So again, I'm not going to stay local because we don't know who we know. So let's move a bit further afield. Oh, let's just. Okay, so just for anybody that may not know, this is called like the map pack. So if you search for who you are, not your company name, but hairdresser in your town, if you feature in this map pack, then you're doing well. This means that you've got a Google My Business listing and that you are one of the top 3 that they recognize. Okay, so this is a really good position to be in and try to aim for. We're going to skip past page 1 at the moment, but as we can see at the top, so the first one I've just skipped past is actually a directory. So we don't want to look at directories, you want to actually look at somebody's specific website. But the 2 that are in first and second position are West End Hair and iAlchemy. Okay, and we'll have a look at those in a little bit. But let's skip to page 2 and just have a look at the sites there, because page 2 is kind of only, you know, a few places away from being on page 1. Are there things that maybe some of these websites can do to get them into a better position? So I've already, you know, looked at these, but let's look at Raw and Hair as an example, Raw Hair Beauty as an example. So this site quickly to me, it's good in that it has a call to action straight away. Sometimes people may think, oh, it's an annoying pop-up, but these pop-ups are good and they do convert. So having something like this, especially if you do go to Raw as a beauty salon and you want to book now, this is a quick way for customers to engage and get that appointment done. So a call to action can be good. Okay, let's just scroll down the page to have a general look. So what we can see here is not a lot of content on the page, a very big logo, and then quite a heavy navigation menu. Now, this to me is too much. Normally you would just have one line and then you'd have a drop-down menu. And again, if you're going to go looking for a hairdresser, the gift shop isn't going to be necessarily the first thing that you want. You want either bookings or you want to see kind of what services they do. So yeah, this seems a bit confusing for the end user. This Raw Strathbungo and Raw Giffnock are their locations. They have 2 salons, but again, it kind of doesn't seem logical to me. So again, I think as a business, look at your own navigation. Does it make sense to you? I would recommend that they probably have a home, an about us, and under that about us, you could have meet the team. You could have their raw reward scheme, the COVID-19 changes, and maybe their booking policy. And then your next navigation could be hair and beauty or treatments or services, you know, whatever that generic heading works for what it is that you offer. And underneath that, you could have then the service menu, the color technique menu, and the beauty menu. Then you could have our salons, and then you could have your 2 locations underneath, and then usually contact us is at the end. Okay, so going back to their homepage, so I've just clicked away. The homepage, your homepage should be basically a synopsis of everything that your business offers. You should talk about your different services in a short and succinct way. And while I say short and succinct, usually when we're writing copy for a client's website, we will be looking at putting roughly between 700 and 1,000 words on that page. And that sounds like a lot, but it's breaking it up and making it look that it doesn't look like it's 1,000 words of text. But that when search engines are looking for websites to then marry up for somebody's search query, is that keyword appearing on the homepage. And the homepage and the contact us page do have a bit more weighting than your other pages. So you do want to try and get in what you do in a clever way onto your homepage. But as you can see here, you know, they talk about, you know, what they've won, which is good, but that doesn't say, you know, they don't even have hairdressers as a keyword. They don't mention that they're in Glasgow on their homepage. So you can see why under the search term hairdressers in Glasgow, this is not on page 1. Okay. Again, okay, they've got a nice image behind, but again, it's shaded out. You know, if you were looking for a hairdresser, you want to see evidence of their work. You don't have that on their homepage. So I think it's lacking that visual attraction for the site. If we go into their service menu, let's see what they have here. Okay, just a quick scroll down the page. So they offer cutting, and then they have their price. They have a little bit of text. They do colour, and again, a bit of text and how they do their colouring and their pricing. But you have to keep scrolling until you get to treatment. So again, for this website, I would think it's not very clear. There are no images. It doesn't draw me in. It feels too text heavy. And if it were me building this site, I would recommend that they have each of those different services. So the treatments, the colouring, and then the cutting as 3 different pages, because each page needs to stand on its own. If you try and save costs by putting everything onto one page, saying, oh, I can't afford to have an individual page for each of my products or services, then the search engines get confused as to what is your value proposition for this page. And for here, there's too many things, you know. And again, you want to look good as a person. If you're going to a hairdresser and you want to come out looking good, this page isn't selling it for me. Let's have a look at their colour technique page. So again, if we look at one of our key elements, they've got better headings on this page. They've got headings and text, and they actually then do have some images. So, you know, comparing these 2 pages, this one stands to be a lot more attractive, a lot more visual. You can see what it is they're offering. You know, if you wanted that nice pastel shade, yes, I have confidence that this salon offers that. You know, they're attributing the what they're offering visually as well as in text. You know, these nice bright coloured hairs, if that's what you're after, you have confidence this salon is selling this service. Okay, and then looking at some other key points. So we said about, so they do have, you know, while they do have good pages on each of their services, and I say good in terms of they have individual pages. What about their geographical area? So let's scroll down. Do they have a footer? So a footer is a section of text at the bottom of every page. So here they have their 3 icons. Let's just have a look and just make sure that whether that's a footer or whether that is just that they put them on that page. So let's go to the home page. So a footer should have your contact details. It should have your name, your address, your phone number. You can add other elements like your logo, adding a map, but here you can see they've just got their social media icons. So again, this name, address, phone number adds geographical relevance to somebody's search query. So even the near me, when people put that in, the search engine will recognise from your IP address where you are. So if you're in Romford and you're looking for hairdressers near me, it will pull those that are in near that geographical location without you having that content on your site. The search engines are struggling to find you, which is why you then don't appear on page 1. These would be what we would call external links. If they, I'm just going to do a, I'm not going to open it in a new tab because I don't know how Zoom works with it, but make sure when you have your social media icons that when you click on it, it actually takes you to your page. Time and time again, we see people taking them to the general facebook.com page or the twitter.com page. You want to make sure you're linking to your own platform. And if you are going to mention a platform, make sure you're active on it. There's no point in having set up Twitter 5 years ago and people going in and seeing that really old post. If you are doing that, then get rid of that icon. Don't point people to that. Okay. And then internal linking, this site doesn't seem to have, from what we've just scrolled, any internal linking. So if you were planning to have, say, like a cut, just say, you know, would you like us to colour your hair today or when you have your appointment, and then link to your colouring page. You know, if there are other services that you normally add value or do an add-on service if somebody comes in. So if somebody were doing, I don't know, let's go back to our lovely tree surgeons. If you think you're getting to your tree cut, but you've actually got hedges in your garden, would you want them to cut your hedges at the same time? You know, they're there, they can clear it up. So what is it that you offer that you can then interlink, and how do you then cleverly do that on your website? Okay, so we can see this one. Then let's look at another site. So we'll go back to our original query of hairdressers in Glasgow. Let's go back to page 2. And then we'll go to this Pixie Hair and Beauty. So also, as you can see here, which I didn't mention earlier, is this is called, when you're looking at each page that you have and the page that appears, this is called your meta description or your page description. And this here is your page title. So when you go into the back end, you've got areas in which you can fill this out. And the words that you use in here can have a huge impact on whether you get ranked or not. So having, you know, this one here says Glasgow salon, but if they'd put hair salon, I know hair features over here, but if they'd put hair salon or hairdresser, then again, those keywords help you get found. So this Pixie Hair has got Glasgow mentioned in it. It mentions hair and beauty salon. So again, that's another keyword phrase. And then again, they mention West End of Glasgow. So again, even being more specific. So again, think about your business. What are the keywords that people, not necessarily that you would use, forget about your technical language necessarily. What are your customers using to search for your business? And try and interweave some of those, or, you know, make sure each of your service pages has service driven text on there. So you can see raw hair and beauty that we looked at a minute ago. Don't just talk about your hair, raw about it. Well, yeah, that's a nice marketing line, but that's not going to help for your search engine optimization. Okay, so let's go into Pixie Hair and Beauty. Okay, I can see me. So again, this is a really nice site. You know, it's a very unique type of salon, very vibrant pictures. But let's have a quick scroll and see what their homepage looks like. So again, visually quite attractive. It's got a little bit of text here. Then it goes on to their services and their prices, and then their social media channels. And then they talk about some of the products that they use. And then they do have a footer. Okay, so we'll kind of now work backwards to the footer. They've got their address, which again is that geographical reference of where they're based, which is good. They've got an easy to use phone number or easy to see phone number down here. Links to their social media icons, that's the external linking. And then they've got their privacy and cookies. If it were me, I've looked at this before, obviously. So these logos, great to have, but this could be where their external linking comes in, link to GHD Hair or to Weller. And okay, that doesn't necessarily do much for you and you're pointing people out, but it's an external link that is, you know, it does get picked up on by the search engines of your external linking. You know, what's more relevant is your, you know, view more on Instagram, take them to your channels, let them see what else there is that you offer. So going back up here, this content is a bit thin. You know, this doesn't give too much about what they're selling, but it gives, what it does give, it gives a sense of who they are. Pixie Glasgow is a vibrant hair and beauty salon based in the West End of Glasgow. So again, a nice keyword here. I would probably put this maybe under a H1 heading, rather than just as text. Those H1 headings, that first heading on your page should have your keywords for what it is that you're trying to speak about on that page. This 80s inspired salon boasts a colour lab, wax bar, nail and makeup stations, and plus beauty rooms offering clients the most on-trend techniques in the industry. And then you can see, you know, what they're writing about is what they're conveying in their imagery. Here for their services, again, I would have, as you can see from the navigation, they've got home, they've got prices for their hair and beauty, and they've got contacts. So they don't have any service pages. So for me, if I were recommending and speaking to this client, I would say, do you know what, you really need service pages. One for your hairdressing element, so your cutting and styling, hair extensions and on-trend colour techniques. And then another page for your, as a minimum, for your beauty. And maybe could this beauty be broken up into different categories within that, and have service pages. So then that way on your homepage, you can actually have a clickable hyperlink on here that would take that user straight to that page for what they wanted. Okay, so this is quite a striking site, but in terms of search engine optimization assistance, it kind of fails on several levels. Okay, a prices page, again, it is simply a price list. So again, in terms of content to help them get this page ranked, and for customers that don't know about them to be found, it doesn't sell it for them. Okay. So let's now go back to page 1 and see who's in that top spot, and can we see why? So as I mentioned before, so I'm just going to move myself around. Treatwell is a directory, so we'll go past that. So this West End Hair, the best hair salon in Glasgow. So again, best hair salon, good keyword. Glasgow is clear, and then look at what they've got in their page description. You know, some great keywords that help sell Glasgow several times, and hairdressers. And yes, it is a bit repetitive, but you know, it doesn't harm. So think about how you best sell yourselves. So their homepage, just a quick scroll through. So they've got some text at the top, they've got a pop-up. Again, salon shopping made simple. Shop with us wherever you are and restock your salon essentials online. Again, is this the right pop-up for your homepage? Here they're selling products for their salon. So they obviously sell Aveda products to other salons. I wouldn't say that's the key thing if you're looking for a hairdresser. If you're a hairdressing salon, if you were a hairdressing salon supplier, then yes, but this kind of pop-up doesn't seem the most logical. So yes, they have content, they're using headings. So again, good keywords in their headings: hair salon, Glasgow, hairdressers. Bit of content, then we go into testimonials. So again, if you can get client testimonials, which are easier said than done, please do. You know, use them in your social media platforms, use them on your website. So they've got two versions. They've got the text above, and then they've got these boxes. And then when you scroll down, you can see actually they've got 19 pages of testimonials. Again, they've probably got a plugin that does this, but is this the right page to have so many testimonials? But it is their landing page from this, which is good because you do want to go to a hairdresser that has got a good reputation. The navigation is nice and clear. So again, when you click across, look, you've got this lovely visual navigation bar. Their hair is broken, as we mentioned from the other sites: hair color correction. So you've had a bad hair color job, you want to get somebody who can actually do it. They help you with this. Weddings and bridal hairstyles. So again, it's very clear to navigate what this hair salon offers. They do products, Aveda. Let's see, do they do an external link out? Not that I can see. So again, you know, if you are going to mention that you're selling something, would you want to have some extra information? Would you want to point out to that other person's website just to have that external link? If they're selling these things, I would probably have better product descriptions. I've got a picture here which looks like a range of products. Could they be a bit more descriptive? But again, this is a good site with good content, good keywords, clear navigation. Let's check to see if they have a footer. Yes, they have. So again, the good address, name. What I'd probably add is adding your business name down here. So you've got your name, your address and your phone number, but you've also got an email in which you can reach them. And again, this map, if people come to your location, is handy to have too. Okay. So just to recap, what we're looking at, our 9 key points are keyword rich content, clear navigation and layout, and that includes good images, so high resolution images that have been optimized for web, which means that while they're a high resolution image, they are not big files, because if you have big files then it will slow your speed down. So making sure that they get compressed. Clear business description of your services, the products, where you're located, having detailed information both on your contact page and your footer of your business opening hours and your location. How you use your headings, again, H1 headings, which again is a technical term for the back end, but they are easily found. Making sure you're using one of those on each page, and then you use other headings to break up your content, and using images to break up that not just scrolling. And then internal linking, can you link to other pages on your site? And then can you do external linking? You know, if you write a blog and you're writing about, say, let's give another example. You're a tree surgeon, I love my tree surgeons, and you've got a tree with a TPO, so it's a tree protection order, I think is what the thing is, you know, link to what TPO actually means. Go and find a government-based website and say, look, here's extra information that we've helped you navigate to find that. Okay, so these things that you can make your website better for your end user, and the search engine algorithms will recognize the work that you put in.
Thanks, Christine. Couple of questions from me.
Yeah.
First, actually, thank you to Leslie, who I knew would be on Typo Watch. She's found a couple of typos in those websites already, so thank you for pointing that out. She did. She did that on one of my documents the other day, and it saved me about 1 million years worth of time. So I really appreciate that. But a couple of questions from me.
Yeah.
The first one you looked at was a Squarespace built website, because it had Squarespace at the bottom, so that seems like a sort of DIY style job.
Yeah.
So again, you know, what are the disadvantages of doing it yourself in terms of not focusing on some of the things that need to be done? And interestingly, the website that you showed as top ranking was not as visually appealing to me as the one on the second page. So how do you get the balance right between, I mean, the fact that they're showing 80s movies in that second place, I mean, I'd be there if I had enough hair. But how do you get the balance right between making sure that you're visually appealing enough and it's working from an SEO perspective?
Okay, so search engines look at the content primarily, and then they look at your images as well, but your images also then have to have an alt tag in the description so that they recognize what those images are. But a lot of people, even us from time to time, because it's a thing that you just got to remember and get into that habit, but you can forget quite easily to name your images, which then the search engine don't know what that image is about, so they just kind of go, right, I don't know what that is, we'll ignore that. So the reason why that West End hair is at the top is because it does have a lot of content, and all those different variables of keywords are helping them to get found.
But
so
if you've got a visually appealing website, you want the images to be named so Google recognises what they are.
Yes. And then it's that balance of, do you think that page looks good enough to represent visually and textually? Because visually it's for the end user, you want a nice looking site. Textually it's for the search engines to then put you in that top position. So it's finding that balance.
It's the balance, isn't it? Yeah.
To answer your question about doing it yourself, again, it's like anything, you know, do you have the time? Do you have the expertise? Everyone, you know, going back to the question about saying no to people, to us, it is often about money. They think, you know, putting a website, I can do it myself, GoDaddy, you know, Wix, whatever, I can build it and it's only going to cost me whatever a month, you know, pennies. But then we say, well, actually, it's going to cost you quite a few pounds. And they're like, oh, well, I can do it myself. Okay, well, go write your content then. How long is it going to take you to write good content that's going to get your website to the top pages?
Yeah, and it's the value.
Do you know what to do with your images? Do you know how to resize them and optimize them? Do you know how to make that page look pretty? You know, that's where the value is, that's what we offer. And, you know, our strap line on lots of things that we write is we're website designers who care. You know, when we engage with clients, we will be working to make sure their page gets to page 1. I'm not saying necessarily the top position, because that's quite hard to achieve, but every month we are working with that client to keep making sure that we retweak their content to make sure that it then works for page 1 for different keywords. Now, if you're a business owner doing it all yourself, you're not going to be going back to your website and doing that analysis every month. So that's what you're paying for. That's the value that we offer. 100%
agree with that. Any other questions from anybody listening? And bear in mind as well that we're live on the Facebook group. So if I don't know if Raz keeps an eye on this, but if there's any comments on Facebook that I always miss and check at the end, Raz, can you give us a shout and let us know? But in terms of people in the room, any questions on website design?
I'd like to say thank you to Perfect Digital. I'm going to I met you once at the town hall in Havering. I've still got your card in the office, but I'll certainly, well, I've heard, I'll convey it to a few of our clients. You know.
Thank you very much, Stephen.
You know, as I said, you're right what you said earlier. Everybody starts off with a website. I've had friends that have started their businesses 2 years ago, and they've still got text from 18 months ago. It's been forgotten, isn't it? Everyone starts off. They need people like yourself, more creative, and to do all the extras.
Yeah, and Chris asked last week, you know, or 2 weeks ago, how often should you look at your website? You know, as often as you change your services, or as often as you add new services, but you know, at least once a year, you need to give it kind of a thorough. Does everything make sense? Am I still offering things in the same way? If you've got pricing, is your pricing still accurate? Because the last thing you want is somebody saying, look, you've said on your site you do X for this, and suddenly you're like, oh my goodness, and then you've got to honour that because that's what you've got published.
Yeah, and particularly if your prices have changed and you publish your prices, that might be an issue. How about redesign? So at Savello, we were waiting for the firm to be chartered, which is going to be happening hopefully in the next 6 weeks, to have a full redesign on web. How old is too old website wise?
I would say it depends what platform you're on. If you're on a platform that can make changes that are still current, or that they add functionality that then comes onto the market that wasn't there when you built your site, then there's no reason to change. Or if you've got a good web developer that can stay current with you, then you can do tweaks to make those kind of updates. You don't have to do a massive overhaul, you know, periodically, but then, you know, styles change, things change, and if you want then an overhaul, or you feel actually the business needs a revamp, then you can go for that whole you know, overhaul, starting from scratch again. You know, and in the days gone by, that was a very pricey project to do. Now with lots of the platforms that are out there, is that you can make, you know,
it's a bit easier,
significantly visual changes without having to go through a whole website redesign.
Amazing.